Hey everybody, my name is Alyssa and welcome back to my channel. Today's video topic is a little more candid and on the cusp. The topic of the title is why letting go feels harder for some more than others. And this is so difficult for other people. So I wanted to get into that so we can have a good discussion about that and just chat about it. All right, so let's get started. Why letting go is going to feel harder for others. This title is going to be interesting. First off, if you are the type of person where you are very loyal and you have somewhat of a personality that is used to routines and repetition, which is the majority of us, when you're in a relationship dynamic and you've gotten to know that person so many times, of course, it's going to feel so tragic to have to walk away from something like that because you, at that point, subconsciously have tied yourself to not only this person, but this routine and this process of things, whether it be like with them for, it could be as small as a month or even 10 years. I don't think that time is relative to this process. And I want you to know, if you are in this process, it's understandable, even if it was just a little situationship for you or full on, in some cases, marriage. Like, that is okay because each situation deserves its own set of compassion and understanding. And I want you to know that I do understand and I get, if you're someone like that who's very loyal and addicted to pattern-based process thinking, that sort of thing, when you do fall for somebody, you're probably the type to give your all. And this is not necessarily a terrible thing, right? But when that person no longer is benefiting your life or serving your life, or it's becoming detrimental to your well-being, there comes a point in time where you are having to just acknowledge that, no, this is not working out anymore. So once you're familiar with this person, a lot of times the brain will signal familiarity as safe. It's just something that naturally happens. For instance, like it's familiar to you, it's what you're used to. So it's supposed to be also accreted with feelings of safety and belonging. And when you have that with a person, you can see how it could become almost addictive to the brain and the mind. Let's talk about letting go. First, take a deep breath and realize that this is going to trigger, especially if it's a deep soul-like connection or karma connection or just a soul tie, if you believe in that sort of thing. It's going to make you feel an immense panic for some people. And with this panic, it could be because of you unhealthily were attached to either this person or it was both a mutual attachment. But as all things must come to an end, I think for me, realizing everything's literally going to come to an end, there's nothing you can do about it. Even if you were to have this person or thing for forever, eventually it's going to come to an end. It just is inevitable. It doesn't make it any easier, but just knowing that gives me a sense, just a small sense of peace, knowing that. What you should know about why it's probably hard to let go of some things over others is because the grief and the anxiety that you're going to feel from the loss of this person, it's going to be because of the uncertainty when we don't know what's going to happen next, right? So if you centered your life with this person, you guys obviously had plans, routines, just all the things, right? And I want you to walk with me for a second because it is important to look back on that and not shove it to the wayside. I think that's very unhealthy. And if you are doing that, you should rethink that type of approach because all you're doing is prolonging this process that is going to take sometimes a while. And we don't know something's going to happen. That can be very much like a threat to our psychological safety, which is very important. Everyone needs to feel psychological safety to be okay. And without that, and when that's being threatened, it's when we tend to see and feel very uncomfortable. I want to get into which is the framework of my channel and just what I always talk about is the psychological response and the psychological effects, right? The first thing that noticed when I was doing research is that the brain can't tell the difference between toxic and good attachments or love. Unfortunately, it cannot do that. So all that the brain knows is that I'm feeling chemicals of love and attachment. a baby would to its mother. Regardless of the treatment that it receives, it's going to receive an attachment, right? And so when you're attached to an individual that is unhealthy, a lot of times, unfortunately, sometimes it can be even more stronger than a completely healthy one because of the type of chemicals involved with that. And in some cases, it can become, the relationship with the person can become an anchor for some people. I do not recommend this because when that happens, you quite literally feel like you're losing a part of yourself, like a limb. So this is another reason why it might feel like very difficult for you right now, is because it genuinely does feel like withdrawal. And a lot of the chemicals involved with attachment and love are akin to, I'm not going to say it on YouTube, but if you so don't feel like you're going crazy, it's because once those chemicals are out of balance and you go from like super high to nothing, it's pretty much like a cold turkey thing. Letting go begins to feel a bit like you're going to die. But rest assured, my love, with proper care and proper treatment, you will get through this. Another thing is, I just touched on this in the beginning, but when you don't know the outcome of something, I read this quote and it's very known, but it's like, the devil you know is better than the devil you don't know. Especially in a very unhealthy dynamic, a lot of us find ourselves in that mode of thinking because it's like, well, I'd rather just continue to go through this versus being alone. Or if you're financially tied to this person, like so many other factors that can be involved in that whole thought process. So it's really tricky, right, in that case, to try to let go when it's like leaving could literally become an unknown that threatens your financial stability. That's different, and obviously it's going to take a different method or approach to try to get out of something like that. The need to control. So if you are somebody who feels like you have to constantly know every single factor of your life and how it's going to turn. If you're type A, I'm type A. Especially when it comes to love, you're going to feel the temptation to control that person or situation. And if you do find yourself in this situation where you are wanting to control this person's feelings and things like that, that's when it can become unhealthy for you, because again, you can't control what anybody is going to do or say, but all that we can control is ourselves, and being real with ourselves. I think it comes to a point where if something just isn't working for you anymore, just having the balls, having the guts to look at yourself and admit that, even if you're not ready to out loud or anything else like that, is the best thing you can possibly do. But when there's that need to control, I think it comes from the ego. When there's a need to control, the ego is going to grasp for straws onto anything that fits the narrative that maybe if I do this, it will be different. Or maybe if I just wait this amount of time, this will change. But our past, right, and our intuition is telling us otherwise. And so that need for control can make feeling letting go harder for some, because they are, or you are attached to, versus releasing your attachment to the outcome and just letting things be as they are and trusting that the right things will come into your life. It's letting go of that need to know what is going to happen next and trusting that if you are supposed to align with this thing in your life, that it will meet you right there. So the last thing that can make letting go feel literally impossible is forming your sense of self around this person, relationship, or thing. And this is something that brings me to this thought of never lose yourself in a friendship, relationship, work, career, organization, because once you do, it will feel like a psychological threat when that thing is taken away. It will feel like your survival is being threatened. And so at that point, if you don't have any sense of self outside of this connection, you're going to feel like your world is crashing down without it. And so it is a scary place to be. Also, if you've rooted your identity in this person, when it's gone or they leave or you just are done, it's going to mean with that connection is an outdated version of yourself that no longer serves your future or higher self. So in order to ascend, it's kind of like an ego debt. They're gonna have to be ready to release and let go of anything that doesn't serve your next chapter in your life. And that is definitely difficult and not something that comes naturally to a lot of us because we're not built to go through so many, I guess, tumultuous ego deaths. But I like to think that all the things that I have gone through and am going through is going to serve me in some way or another, even if you're feeling that grief and that loss. Without it, I'd like to think that I wouldn't be the woman that I am today, and the same for you. You wouldn't be the same person that you're going to become if this didn't happen. And obviously, if it's gotta happen, it's because you knew that this was not for you. So it's just another reminder for you. So for the last sector of the video, I just wanted to talk about things you can do to just cope, are things that I personally think would help. So if this resonated with you, you probably feel your emotions very strongly, and that's not a bad thing. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. A lot of people will feel like their strong feelings are the problem when that's not that. Acknowledge that what you felt was very real. And I think once you do that, it will just bring things to a field where you're able to objectively look at it then. Yes, I was feeling this strong emotion, but here are the facts, right? Write down all that has transpired that you can think of, just literally a dump of writing of things. I like to do voice memos. Voice memos are also very helpful. I plan to one day post some of my voice memos, maybe on like a Patreon or something, or like a private page, so that people can listen to those and see and learn from them. But once my channel expands its reach, I would love to do something like that to even further help people out with the things that they're going through, because these are not things that you are the only person feeling them. Rest assured, a lot of us are going through unspoken battles that we also aren't talking about. And the joke about life is that a lot of people are pretending that that's not the case, or that they aren't feeling these things, or covering them up with material items. But that doesn't really change the fact that we're all human, and a part of the human experience is to go through suffering, is to go through pain, is to go through heartbreak, is to go through loss. And without any of those feelings, you wouldn't be human, and we wouldn't be able to ascend and grow from those things. We would just be stagnant, static beings. So that is something to think about. Another thing is to surround yourself with loving people during that time. If you're the type of person where letting go feels hard for you, you could surround yourself with loving people or loving things, or a loving creature, a pet. If you don't have that support system, finding a new web or connection to anchor yourself in, because if your identity was tied to that person, you might feel a sense of, where do I go from here, right? Well, that's when rebuilding the networks have to start. So you have to try to seek out maybe supportive networks that could be there for you in that time, and just finding solitude in that, right? So that you can grieve what has to go, grieve what must die with people who may be on that same journey. It will help you to solidify what must be done. I'm gonna think of something else. This is all off the top of my head and personal experience. Don't forget to, and I know this can feel so monumental if your body feels heavy, but the body does need movement. So just make sure to get movement in your day, even if it's just stretching for 5 minutes. That is quite enough to let your body know that we can return to a state of calm and homeostasis. And once you do that, the body knows that it can return back to that safe place, even if right now everything feels like a catastrophe. So that's definitely something that you can try as well. So I think that's everything that I have for today's video. I really enjoyed filming this and sitting down and just talking to you. If you're looking for a video to try to talk yourself through it right now, and to just acknowledge that, yes, this is happening, this is hard, this is difficult, but at the end of the day, the part of you that you're gonna be all right. And that is true, even if it doesn't feel like it right now. I also wanted to just say thank you guys so much for the support. I definitely see and respond to every single comment, and it just means so much to me. This is a dream come true for me to just do this, and so just to have people that are interested in what I have to say is an absolute honor. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. If you did enjoy this video, please let me know by liking, so I know to film more videos like this in this format and this type of content. And subscribe below if you're not already subscribed and you got this far. And I do post frequently, so just stay tuned for that. Turn on the notification if you'd like to be notified. And hope you guys have a great day, or whenever you're watching this video. Remember to take care of yourselves and have a great day. Bye.